This is Morgan Hazelwood, back again with more writing tips and writerly musings. Today, I'm here to share with you dealing with the emotional roller coaster of being a writer. Now, being a writer, especially one with internet access, can be a complete roller coaster of emotions. Of course, we knew before we began dreaming of writing our first novel that book reviews could be the height of joy or the depths of crushing despair. But it used to be that you'd only see professional reviews if they bothered to pay attention, and you could ignore them if you tried hard enough. Nowadays, I think it would be better and less distracting to the writer if they only knew what people thought of their writing when they had the energy and the focus, and if those reviews were giving useful feedback that worked for the writer. Not giving them harsh reviews that distract them when they're in the middle of writing, or kick them when they're down after a rough day of the words not coming and them already wanting to throw the towel in, or when life is being hard and distracting. You don't want to kick somebody because you don't know what they're going through that day. I'm not saying we should not have honest reviews. I'm just saying that let the people find them when they're ready. Don't shove them in their face. But when you're a writer, there are so many other things that can bring you up and crash you down. In the past week, I, without having any book reviews out there, have been all over the place. Let me talk about my recent roller coaster of emotions. Last week started off at a great high. I had entered a flash fiction contest and I won. Well, I won a free book, some lovely words from an agent I really respect, and bragging rights. So, hi, I'm bragging just a little. Very excited. Followed, of course, by some emotional downs. I got home from this lovely win to find some heavy feedback from my mentor. When I reread the passage that the notes were on, I couldn't believe that I'd sent that to her. I remembered a different passage with a different tone. I knew it was dark, but I remember a different flavor of dark. And I was kind of ashamed that that's what I'd sent her, especially since I'd recently just revised it to send it to her. Didn't I read that closer? Surely I could have done something sooner and not sent her that. And some of my experiences last week were kind of a mixture of both highs and lows. The very next day after the win and the mentor feedback, I found out that a dear writer friend of mine with a story pitch that evokes one of my favorite movies had been offered representation by an agent. She has worked so hard, reworked her novel, and dealt with so many setbacks. I am proud and excited for her. But I've got a twinge of jealousy and I'm frustrated to be stuck in revisions. I'm not even in the query trenches and she already has an agent and other friends of mine are publishing their books and I'm not there yet. And it's hard. It really is. And it just makes you think about what you want to focus on and where you want to be and how to get there. Which brings us to writing requires resilience, persistence, and perseverance. First up, resilience, the capacity to recover from setbacks, like facing that scene and revising it into something I can actually be proud of and eager to send to my mentor. Like recognizing my jealousy and longing to be at the same stage as my friends, and accepting the fact that I want my novel to be worthy. I don't want to just give them what I thought was worthy before I looked at it again with fresh eyes. Next up, persistence, the firm continuance in a course of action in spite of difficulties. I keep writing and I keep putting my work out there. For that flash fiction contest, it's posted almost, 1 to 3 times a month on Fridays. And it's open for submissions on Saturdays for 24 hours. And so many times I have written a flash fiction story on Friday and completely forgotten to post it. I've entered like 3 or 4 times and have never gotten a mention before, except maybe in the comments the next day. But I kept at it and I remembered to enter this time. For my writing, after reading and recoiling from the horror that I'd sent my mentor, I let that settle for a bit, and then I turned back and I faced it and I revised it again, and I sent my mentor something much better. But I don't think it's quite there yet. I think I'm gonna go over it again and see if I can get the emotional response that I really want to invoke in that scene. It needs some tweaking, and I'm going to work it until it's something that shines in the darkness, because it's still a dark scene. And for my querying friend, I am so proud of her, and I can't wait to be in her shoes again. And I know I'll be ready to put myself back out there in the query trenches when the time comes. Which brings us to perseverance, which is persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. I am not going to stop until I achieve success, which is hundreds of loving readers who just can't wait for my next book. Some money would be nice, but I want to find the readers who love my work, and I want them to ask for more. That is the dream. That is the goal. That is success for me. From flash fiction, my win, it took a bit to get there. Despite, the whole writing process, I also had trouble posting my entry. I tried on my phone a couple times while waiting for Avengers Endgame to begin, and it just wouldn't post. And then hours later, I tried again, and nothing. And finally, a friend saw me struggling and offered me their iPad. So I logged in an incognito window, and finally, I think I had to switch to web mode before it would finally accept my entry. It was a pain, but I persisted. Usually I would have just given up, but my friend saw me entering, and I didn't want to be like, oh, never mind, because I did think this was a good solid entry. And when I looked at the entries the next day, I found that I was a semi-finalist, and I was thrilled. I've never gotten a mention before. I was very excited. And the judge asked for input about which ones people liked, and no one commented on mine. None. Except for 2 people who asked what was happening in it. But the next day, the judge said she couldn't get my flash fiction story out of her head, and I won. So, despite all odds, I persisted and persevered, and it was very exciting, even if, bragging rights is about all I win. So, as for my writing, I'm going to keep at it. I'm going to query when I'm ready, and I've got this backlog of rough drafts that I'm going to polish, and I'm going to keep working on my writing, and I'm going to keep putting it out there until I find a home, until I find an audience, and I'm going to just have to keep at it. And as for my writer friends, yes, I'm going to be jealous, but I'm going to be there to celebrate their successes, share their writing with the world, and lend an ear whenever the stress or setbacks send them reeling. What sort of emotional roller coaster have you been on lately? do you ever worry that you won't be able to handle it? Either internal pressure or when your writing gets popular, that external pressure. And that's all for today. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button and share it with all your friends. It goes a long way towards helping people find me. And I'll be back again next Monday with more writing tips and writerly musings. Bye-bye.